Today I want to walk you through a little propagation fun that I'm having. This is a Peruvian apple cactus, Sirius repandus. This is a cutting that I took from this one mid-July. We are now the beginning of January. Took it mid-July, planted it August 3rd, and didn't water it then for about 8 weeks. You can see on this cutting that there's a little bit of blotching to the coloration. You can see it's also, I don't know that the lighting's so great on film, but there's a significant difference in the color between these two. This one's obviously much more blue. This one's much more pale. I think I mentioned that I took the cutting, didn't water it for about 8 weeks. I perhaps could have done better watering it 6 weeks. And I say that because sometimes that mottling means the desiccation going on in there, that it's drying out so much in there that the tissue itself is breaking down much more than needed. There's a balance between allowing a cutting to go so dry that it coaxes roots out of the tissue. There's a balance between that and letting it go so dry that the plant basically absorbs itself, dries up, and dies. So there's a balance. But again, so I took this cutting mid-July. My notes weren't great, so I don't know the exact day. I let it callus for a bit, planted it August 3rd. Today we are in what, January 3rd-ish. I planted this cutting in 2 parts granite, 3 part peat, and 3 part perlite. It's kind of a heavy mix. I maybe could have gone a little heavier on the granite, but anyways, the granite helps with drainage obviously, but it also helps to keep a cutting from flopping over when it's in the pot, so adding some bulk to the soil. But anyways, you can see then that there are some nice roots going on there. Let's see if I can bend it. About an inch long, maybe 20 or so of them. And so I wanted to show you that, tell you a little bit about the timing in the process. Took it mid-July, planted it August 3rd, and then here we are at the beginning of the new year, and it's got inch-long roots. I probably, again, could have done it a little bit better. I probably could have watered it about 6 weeks in rather than 8 weeks. So anyways, I just wanted to show you that. But then also, because I like roots, and you may too, I want to take this parent plant, and I'm going to take, you can see I've got a little towel back here, take that and pull this out of the pot, and I want to see its roots too. Just because. Science. And there it is. So it is rooted around fairly well around the outside of the root mass. I'm going to dig into it just a little bit because I'd like to see just a little bit more. A lot of the time, by the way, I have maybe a peculiar habit of wanting to see the root system of plants, and that really just stems from a long many years being in commercial or professional growing and wanting to know the condition of the roots. But something else that's interesting when I pull apart plants is I can often find out how a person took a cutting or how that plant was propagated, and it's just interesting to see some of those things. With this plant in particular, I may find nothing at all of interest other than that it has a good root system. I would also mention though that as I'm doing this, you'll see that, I mean, you know, some roots are falling off. That's perfectly fine, and this is a good bit of information for propagating or even working with many succulents and cacti. And it's this, when you're thinking, when you're repotting and you're thinking about, am I taking off too many roots? Remember that I lopped its entire head off, set it on the table for a couple of weeks, put it in the ground, and it started growing roots again. So we don't have to worry too much about, am I going to lose too many roots as I'm repotting a thing. Loosening up these roots as it does break them off, that's can be considered root pruning, which is good, because as you do cut the individual roots, just like the branches of a tree are, if you prune the branch of a maple tree, for example, it's going to branch off and two branches come out. So below, so with the roots, you cut the root, and where that's cut is going to divide into two more roots, and you keep on doing that, and you develop a fibrous root system that's better able to support the plant in like the winds we've been having here recently, but it's also better able to process and access water and nutrients. So there's some of what we've got going on with the root system. There are a couple of larger ones down here. That's a nice champion size root. So it has a very good root system going. This one itself was probably a cutting 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. It was probably harvested. I can't be perfectly sure, but anyways, there is that one. I'll do more in-depth videos of this sort, propagation, as the season starts to warm. And in fact, I think today I may even take some cuttings of various cacti that I've just been wanting to get into, and I'll report back on that later.